Hey guys, Mars Thinking here, bringing you another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video. So coming up very soon on Global, we have the release of the second wave of Fusions units with more Awakenings and EZA'S. We are getting the EZA'S for the 3 free-to-play units that awakened previously, and then these 5 units are getting Awakenings and EZA'S at the same time. So I believe on JP, when these guys released, they did not get their EZA straight away. It was another week or so, or like later on into the celebration, that they got their EZA'S. But on Global, we're kind of at that point where there's not a huge amount of time left in the schedule, right? Because all this stuff goes live on Monday evening in the US, Tuesday morning for me. And then, of course, we only have like a week left of the month. That should lead us into the Trunks Dokkan Fest, which doesn't have a part 2. So that will only take up the first like 2 weeks of March, and then it will be time for Saiyan Day. So this is probably the best case scenario, rather than having to wait and like pad out the schedule. There was just no room for it. So these guys are getting their EZA straight away, which is good, because when their awakening details released on JP, apart from, I think Selza was okay and Janembu was kind of alright, but they were kind of mid, to be honest. And then their EZAs were announced like pretty much straight afterwards. And with their EZAs, they are all actually very, very solid units. And then, yeah, we got these Awakenings as well. So the free-to-play Awakenings, the Pinich and Tekka, the 2 main characters from the actual Fusions game, they're just solid free-to-play units. They're both crossover leaders for 77%, as well as having a secondary leader skill for their own typing, not restricted to Super or Extreme. I mean, they could be a good free-to-play option for crossover. They both do essentially the same thing. They raise attack for 1 turn, do supreme damage and lower defense. But then when it comes to their passive, Tekka has attack and defense 150, gets an extra 50 if there's another crossover ally on the same team. Then he gives crossover allies 25% support, and he has a high chance of 2 key and attack and defense 25% for all allies. So if this actually procs at the start of the turn, then obviously he's giving crossover allies 50% support, which is the highest you can get from a single support unit in the game currently. So that is really good. It's just kind of annoying that it's gated behind this 50% chance at the start of the turn, but he's a solid free-to-play option for the crossover team. And then Pinich has an extra attack 120 when performing a super, and he launches an additional attack that has a medium chance to become a super. So because of the raises attack on 1 turn, I mean, this with the 120 on super, he can actually get a reasonable attack stat, and then can potentially double super with a slightly higher attack stat. The only problem is, like, his links are not the best. He does have Saiyan Warrior Race and Saiyan Lineage, although for some reason he has those links and a tail, but he's not a hybrid Saiyan or a pure Saiyan apparently, so I'm not really sure what the deal with that is. That's the biggest problem with these two, is they're not really on a lot of teams. I guess at least Tekka is on Kamehameha. And then we have our boy Yamhan, previously known as Tiencha. His leader skill is bad. His super attack effect is greatly raises attack for 1 turn, and he lowers attack. So it can be useful for like Super Battle Road. He is on Earthlings as well, which, I mean, that has a Super Battle Road stage now. He gets attack and defense 180. Then he gets an additional attack 80% and launches an additional attack which has a medium chance of becoming a super when performing a super, when HP is 80% or less. So this is a bit weird. Like, he gets extra attack and a chance to perform an additional super as long as you were already supering. So if you didn't get enough key, he won't do this. And you have to be at 80% less HP, so you can't do it like on turn 1, which is kind of weird. And then he gets 6 key and an additional 80% attack and a high chance of performing a crit when HP is 80% or less once only. So something like Super Battle Road, if you are going to use him on, say, the Earthling stage, and he's on the 2nd turn, if you lose 20% of your HP in the 1st turn, then when he comes onto rotation, you're going to get an additional, potentially additional super attack, where he's going to auto super because he's getting 6 key. A whole bunch of extra attack, and then the high chance that those attacks are going to be crits. So it could be pretty useful, but again, free to play, not on a huge amount of teams. His links are really bad. He has links like Dodon Ray. He's got Z Fighters. He's got Kamehameha, obviously Fused Fire. So not terrible. They're all like okay free to play cards, but they're nothing too crazy. And then we have they're, of course, from the Extreme Z area, so it's 3 stages. You obviously have to bring the unit that is being EZA'd on that stage into the event. You get a guest lead of the Tekka, so obviously a crossover team is what you want to run. You can run any of the fusions, so If you're somebody that has all of these units, the easiest way to do this, if you just want to blow through this as quickly as possible, is probably to do the EZA'S for these upcoming units that we're going to talk about next. Do them first, because you can bring them all on this stage, and then just use all of them fully EZA to absolutely destroy. Gotenks and Ghost is on here, so good for stuns and heals. And then even this Gotenks is on there as well. So like this will be super, super easy. Extreme Z areas are not particularly difficult. Then we have the actual EZAs. So Janembu is actually cracked. Like, he's super good. He infinitely stacks defense. He gets attack and defense 120 at the start of the turn. He gets attack and defense 60% per extreme class ally attacking in the same turn, self-excluded. So as long as you're on a team of extreme units, he's getting another 120%, because he's always going to have 2 extreme units on rotation with him. Then he has a built-in 30% chance to dodge, and as soon as he's dodged one attack, he then guards for the rest of the turn. He also recovers 13% HP at the end of the turn if he was hit, and he lowers the enemy's attack as well. So he does tons of things. Obviously, I think Truth famously gave him like a full 25 dodge or something like that. I gave mine quite a bit of dodge, but I also gave him a fair bit of additional because he's infinitely stacking, so I think that'll be very good. But yeah, once you get that first dodge, then he guards. So even in difficult content, as soon as you get that first dodge off, he's going to be tanking very well. The only downside is obviously if he starts off the turn taking a super and doesn't dodge. But depending how deep you are into the event, because he infinitely stacks, his defense is going to be high anyway. So he's really good. All of these units, of course, are on Fusion and Crossover, but he's also on Transformation Boost and Margin Power. So Margin Power, of course, upcoming will have in the anniversary a Vegeta event mission. So definitely get this guy done if you do have him. Then we have the Selza. He's going to be an interesting one because he has big bad bosses. So obviously I'm quite looking forward to seeing him at his full potential. He raises attack and defense for 1 turn on super. Lowers defense, which isn't really that important. Attack and defense 120. He recovers 10% HP at the start of the turn, and an additional 10% HP if your HP is 50% or less. So it can be good for a little bit of extra healing. And then he gets an additional attack and defense 100% when he performs a super if HP is 50% or more. So bear in mind, of course, say you have him in like slot 2. If the unit in slot 1 gets supered and you drop below 50% HP, then when he goes to super attack, this part of his passive will not activate. So he will be less tanky and he'll be doing a lower attack stat. But overall, he's a fairly solid unit. He's on Transformation Boost as well as the typical Fusion categories. So at least he is on another really solid team as well. And the fact that he has big bad bosses. I mean, the rest of his link set is really good. Brutal Beatdown, Nightmare, Shocking Speed, Prodigies. Very good link set. Then we have the Cooliza, fusion of Cooler and Freezer. He is on Transformation Boost, Wicked Bloodline, and Terrifying Conquerors, so some good teams. He infinitely stacks both attack and defense. Defense is a normal raise, the attack is a greatly raise, so he can build up his attack a little bit faster. Does supreme damage. Attack and defense 120 when performing a super. High chance of launching an additional super attack built in, which is really good for the stacking. Chance of performing a crit 10% with each super attack performed up to 30. So once he's super attacked 3 times, he has this free 30% chance to crit. So especially because he's a stacker, you definitely want to go more additional with him. And then he's also a fusion or Wicked Bloodline category extreme class ally. Attack and defense 30%. So realistically, like, you can even just run him on a Wicked Bloodline team as a support unit, and in longer events, because he's stacking his defense, he's not going to be a complete liability at the end of the event. He also has a very good link set for those teams as well, so very, very solid. Then we have Weirus. Weirus is actually really good because on the anniversary LRs, the Super Saiyan 4's team, this guy, being a fused fighter, he's on their team, creates tons of physical orbs. He changes tech and int orbs to physical. Then he starts off with attack and defense 150. He gives Fusion or Realm of Gods allies a 30% buff if you pick up 3 orbs. He gets a 50% chance to dodge if you pick up 5. And then he gets an additional attack and defense 70% if you pick up 7. So it's very easy to get a lot of orbs with him. And when you have max orbs, not only is he giving the support, which of course he gets himself, so he's getting an extra 100% attack and defense on top of this 150, as well as a 50% chance to dodge and supporting the rest of the rotation. And he does raise attack and defense for 1 turn on super. So even again as like a third slot floating unit on teams like the LR Super Saiyan 4s, who of course count as a fusion unit because they fuse into Gogeta, he's supporting them and creating tons of rainbow orbs for them. So he's really, really good as well. If LR Beerus and Whis ever get an EZA, like he has decent links with them and creates tons of orbs, and even though they're the wrong typing, that's going to help them to get like an 18 key super much easier. So he's really solid as well. And then of course, last but certainly not least, the god himself, Chow Man. Raises attack and defense for 1 turn, does supreme damage to all enemies, sacrifices 10% HP. He has attack 100% and defense 200%. He gets an additional attack 100% when performing a super. So when he's supering, he's got like attack and defense 200%. Although technically it's more because attack on super is actually more of a buff. He has a built-in medium chance to crit. And then he gets key plus 10 and additional attack 300% when HP is 50% or less once only. So in Super Battle Road, for example, if you start the turn below 50% health, when you super, like, he's going to be, at the start of turn, he's going to have 400% attack and then get 100% on super buff as an AoE. You obviously want to heal at the start of that turn because you're below 50% HP and he's going to sacrifice another 10%. But this guy can actually hit crazy numbers. Like, he has gone from being a meme to being actually good in Super Battle Road. The only downside, of course, is he's only on Final Trump card and then the typical fusion categories. So, very, very good. All of these units are super, super good. For me, I've been playing long enough. You know, they've been in the general pool a while. I have all of them rainbowed, getting ready to get these guys awakened. So to prepare for these guys, they all awaken with the armband medals that you use to awaken these guys as well from the Fusion Story event. So if you haven't done so already, we are obviously getting these 5 EZA'S. So if you haven't done it yet, make sure you farm up 100 more of those armband medals. Also for the free-to-play units, farm up an extra copy at SA5, and then each of them will need 20 armband medals as well. So you can have an awakened version at SA5 ready to feed in once you've done the EZA. Get them straight up to SA15. I even have a spare Janembu at SA5, so I actually have 120 armband medals waiting, because then I can awaken the second one and feed him straight in once I've done the EZA. So obviously I will be doing a guide for the Extreme Z battle. That'll drop on Monday, good few hours before the event, as I always do with my team building guides. But yeah, very much looking forward to this. Like, Janembu is super good. I mean, I was just going to pick out Janembu and then maybe a second one, but like, they're all really good. I feel like the worst one, meme though he is, Chow Man is probably realistically one of the worst ones, just because he's not on a lot of teams, he doesn't have great links, he's an AoE unit that sacrifices HP, but you could still use them perfectly fine on these teams. And then yeah, like Weirus is super useful, Cooliza, like, oh yeah, I'm just really excited about this second batch of fusions. The first ones were good, and I was quite impressed with some of them when we did their solo showcases, but these ones are just even better, so I'm really excited about this. But let me know what you guys think. Are you guys ready to go? Make sure you farm up all of those medals so you can get this done straight away, and let me know which of the Fusions EZA'S is your favourite down below in the comments section. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Master Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the links down below for the Discord and the merch store, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.